Hi there, Karen Flaherty here from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be talking about the gate 29, which is all about commitment. Here we go. Okay, so this week we've got the gate 29 in the sun, and we've got in the earth the gate 30, which is the gate of desire. 29 is the gate of commitment. So 29 is here right off the top of the sacral, and then the gate 30 is here off the bottom of the solar plexus. And the gate 30 is also called the gate of intensity. So it can be intensity and desire. It does have an effect on some people. If you're not as aware of it, it can be kind of intense. Those people are definitely intense who have the gate 30 in their charts. So anyone with the gate 29 in commitment or in the gate 30 in intensity can be a kind of an intense personality. So it should be an interesting week for everybody. We start the week with the channel 2946 defined. This is called the channel of discovery, and it's defined by the transit. So everybody's going to have the G center defined at the beginning of the week, and then the sacral defined. So if you don't usually have the sacral or the G defined, it might feel like you have them defined this week. So it stays like this for 3 days, and then no centers are defined for the next 2 days. And then finally, at the end of the week, we move into definition in the 4764, which is called the channel of abstraction, because 47 is in Mercury and 64 is in Mars, and those are both kind of short-term transits. So it'll just last a few days. So what we talk about with the gate 29 usually is that, and again, these work in tandem, the 29 and the 30, just because they happen to be opposite each other, actually on the mandala. But commitment can also be called the abysmal or perseverance in the original I Ching. And it's all about making a commitment and sticking to it. We also call it the gate of yes. So if you're, asked to do something and you have the 29, you just have this feeling that you want to say yes. You just have this feeling that you're going to commit to something. We find actually that a lot of people with multiple marriages have this gate. So people who are willing to say yes many, many times. But in the Joking Archive, they say this is the deep within the deep. Persistence despite difficulties that has its inevitable rewards. So basically you make the commitment and you're going to persevere and you're going to keep with it and you're going to keep going. So the incarnation crosses this week, the cross of contagion, the cross of commitment, and the cross of diligence. And we'll talk about the gene keys in a minute. The gate 30 is the gate of desire. It's the other half of the transit or the other half of the channel from fantasy and desire. So the gate 41 is fantasy and creativity. 30 is the other half, that's desire and intensity. And so it's also called clinging fire or feelings in the original I Ching. And this is where freedom is recognized as an illusion and limitation is accepted as a fate. So it's kind of like, it's intense, but the freedom is really an illusion because of the intensity that's involved. And limitation is accepted as their fate because as intense as they are, it almost seems like nothing's ever done. Right? Maybe it's accomplished, but it's never quite done. So it's always an ongoing thing. It's like a Sisyphusian type of energy. And in the gene keys, desire is the shadow. Lightness is the gift, because if you can kind of let go of some of the shackles of that intensity, lightness can be the gift, and rapture is the CD. So this is a graphic from Richard Rudd. Spending time with a friend is like finding a beautiful old seat in a secret glade deep in the forest. I think he's talking here about the fact that commitment can be commitment with regard to relationships, of course. Commitment in, whether it's a marriage partnership or a business partnership or friendship or family relationships. Commitment is a big part of our lives. In many ways, but the shadow here is half-heartedness, where we're not really committed to either the relationship or the project or the job. The gift is commitment and the CD is devotion. And he said, if you're feeling half-heartedness robs you of your opportunity to really participate in life's mystery. And we've all seen this when you can just tell either at their job or in their marriage or in their friendships, they're just half-hearted. They're not really into it. They're just biding time, if you will. And so when you're really committed to something, it looks different. It looks like you're really persevering. It looks like you're committed to it. It looks like you're having a good time doing it, right? And so a clear decision is felt as a quiet and powerful warmth that courses through your whole being. And as somebody with the gate 29 attached to the sacral, I can tell you when I make a decision, that's exactly the way it feels. With that gate of commitment, when I make a decision, it's like a relief. It's like a real feeling of relief that all the indecision and the lack of clarity up to that point, once I make the decision, once I get to the gate of yes, and I know what I'm going to do, it's a powerful warmth and it really feels good. So here are some personalities born with this in their sun gate. Rosalind Carter, Coco Chanel, Bill Clinton, Willie Shoemaker, who was one of the most successful jockeys in sports history, Robert Redford, Vin Diesel, both Ray Bradbury, who wrote Fahrenheit 451 and a number of other science fiction novels, and then Gene Roddenberry, who was famously the writer and creator of Star Trek. Both were born with this sign. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The great gate of commitment. Obviously, they're committed to their craft and creating great science fiction. Larry Ellison, the president of Oracle, Sean Penn, Orville Wright, of the aviation fame, and Robert Plant. So a lot of people who are committed to their crafts and committed to the industry that they chose. And then this week in history, we've got a number of different things going on. 3 Americans completed crossing the Atlantic in a balloon in 1978. I thought that was interesting. In 1939, we had the Wizard of Oz originally opened in New York City. It was the beginning of the Salem witch hunt in 1692. 5 women were hanged after being committed of the crime of witchcraft. And if you think about it, in a way, they were committed to what they were up to. Both sides, right? The women were committed, but so were the people executing them who thought that they were right and that they were actually witches. In 1619, this was the week, August 20th, the first group of 20 African. And in 1940, radar was used for the first time during the Battle of Britain. And Winston Churchill historically made his first made a radio broadcast that said, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." Again, a commitment, right? Commitment from the people who were in the Air Force, in the Royal Air Force in Britain. And then finally, a first series of debates began between Abraham Lincoln and Stephen Douglas. So what are you committed to? What makes your life more rich because of commitments? What can you do to increase the commitments if you want to, or decrease the commitments? Sometimes some of us have to give up commitments because we say yes to too many things. So beware of that too this week. This is the gate of yes, and it doesn't mean you have to say yes to everything. You might be tempted to say yes to more things this week. That's the way this energy works. It also might be a little intense this week. So beware of that as well. Be mindful of it. Do what makes sense for you. Don't do anything that's too intense, and have a great week. Take care.